Welcome to Magical Moments with Alena Chapman, the place for you to break free from the norm and celebrate your life, because what we believe in our hearts becomes our reality. This is Magical Moments with Alena Chapman.
You are listening to Magical Moments because you know something. You deserve that beautiful ease and flow in your life. And that's why we have this show, just to help you gain that. And to start out, I have a magical nugget for you. You know, we have been through so much in the world and the USA. We have been through so incredibly much in the last 3 years. And then we added that cherry on top with the coronavirus. And now we have a lot of problems with, well, let's just say things are rising up that were always there that we just have never addressed. And that's relationships between faiths, religions, color, everything. So, okay, we've got a whole Sunday of things that we're dealing with. But, you know, I started thinking, because I'm watching as people are coming back out from their homes and, you know, just when you go to the grocery store, just when you go to the doctor's office. And I'm wondering, folks, do you want the same old, same old? Do you really want to step back into what we had? And you're saying, well, what was wrong with that? Well, okay, let's talk about that. I mean, most of the people were coming to me with such strong anxiety. Their heads were spinning. People were coming to me so upset because they felt limited. They felt like they weren't in control of their lives. They didn't have strong relationships. They were not happy. That's what was wrong with that. So we are really living in a cool time in history where we can build new. And I was thinking about this. Why aren't we starting with relationships? It is a wonderful way to show our kindness, but more than that, to build true, strong, loving, supportive, and fun relationships. True friends. And yeah, we've got those people we went to high school with. But are they still serving you? And I'm not saying leave them. But are you deepening that? Or are you just relying on, oh yeah, we were way back in high school, yay, yay, yay. Are we building on that? You know, how do you build a strong relationship? Being present. Totally and utterly present for that person. Step out of yourself. Listen to them. And let them fuel you and you fuel them. You'll find that you'll learn facets of people that you've known for years. You'll learn new facets that you never knew. New sides of them. New incredible talents of them. But we have to step out of ourselves and be totally present for them. And then, what about those people we run into every day that we know but we don't know? Why not just say, hey, you want to grab a coffee? I see you all the time. Why don't we just talk? I'd love to get to know you better. Taking that step forward to just form relationships. And for heaven's sakes, when we're in the grocery store, when we're not living in giant communities, or maybe we are. But even those giant communities, we have little pockets. You see the same people. When you walk into the grocery store, what is wrong with just saying, hi, I hope you're having a nice day? Since when do we feel like we live in a bubble? And it's a very lonely, frustrated, and our thoughts eat us up in that bubble. Step out of it. Start forming relationships this week. Just do baby steps. And I'll tell you what, you're going to find really something incredible and magical is going to happen. I'm not even going to tell you because you're going to say, wow, that is so cool. Oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. You're going to start saying things like that because it's going to open the door to something that is bigger than you ever thought possible. That's my magical nugget for today. Good luck this week. Have fun with it. And that brings me to a person who knows all about relationships. Her name is Dena Burton, and she's a life strategist. Now, she says she's for women. We're going to talk about that because, I know you men out there are just wanting to know things also. And everybody says they're always for women. But she is, and she's pretty cool. You're going to love her. She's cracked the code of the change your life game. In both romance and career. And her methods have helped countless women do the same. Dena has found success across varied industries such as acting, which I love, teaching, marketing, and luxury real estate. She has a gift. I love this, Dena, because this is what people have told me too, but I love this. She can merely talk to you, and within an hour or so, you know exactly what your deal is. And when it comes to romance, the why it's the deal and why it's no deal. Okay? Dena has been featured in Modern Luxury and many other magazines. She's available to talk about many different subjects about relationships, especially during the COVID. And that's why I have her on. So, Dena, would you like to join us?
I would love to. And I loved your nugget.
Thank you.
Whole in the listening is that's my wheelhouse. That's where I sit. I think the truth is in the listening, how we hear each other.
Yes.
And the love is in the listening, and the power to make the relationships that we have in the supermarket and in your own home, they're all in the listening and relating to each other on a higher vibration.
And don't you just love it? It has to be open listening. It can't be, I'm listening, but... oh, well, why is she saying that? Or why, putting that judgment
Let me hurry up and say my part. Let me hurry up and finish, because I have my thing already decided that I'm going to say. We're so efficient. We have a cell phone that tells us, she'll speak on your behalf. And if you want, she'll speak on your behalf with a British accent. All these electronics.
My son has that.
Right?
Yeah. Every time I want directions, I get a British accent.
You can have a male or a female. All those things are great, but that efficiency has made it so we don't take the time very often to listen to each other.
I know.
So the question sometimes becomes, how are you? When you're walking by, how are you? And we generally say, fine. Did you ever say, actually, not great. It's been kind of lonely.
Yeah.
I can't hug people anymore.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to just not say just fine, but say I'm feeling better today. I wrote in a blog recently, I actually have hope today, which based on a recent pandemic, I wasn't really feeling. So it was nice to start to realize that this is our new normal, and I'm starting to feel better, and I wanted to share that. But
I like that.
Where those relationships get deeper.
It is making those relationships deeper, and I don't think people understand how much that adds to the quality. Say, I say hello to someone, and I say, how are you? And they say, oh, Alena, I have just had the most incredible experience. Well, my gosh, I'm going to sit there and listen. Or Alena, my mom has not been doing well, or my life has taken this turn, and I'm really not sure about things. Well, my gosh, the door has opened. I'm not going to say, oh, good for you, and walk on my way. But some people do. They don't even hear. So
this is key for all of us to listen, and it used to be called, I think, active listening, which means I'm participating as I'm listening. So if you're talking about your mom not being well, have a little empathy there, wow, I remember when my mom was around, that was a really hard time. Or, oh wow, I remember that I should really be grateful that my mom's so well. But like starting to engage with them on a higher level, and it's a deeper connection, and people feel that. They automatically feel a little bit better because someone's really invested in what they're saying. And we don't have that in our everyday life, but I think part of the new normal, because it's going to be new, it's new every day, is this authentic listening space that we can be into. And I noticed we're all wearing masks here in California, I'm going to proudly say.
Yes,
a lot of us. And in the market yesterday, I noticed I was smiling really hard because we can't see our face, but you can see the end of our eyes, right?
Right.
So we kind of squint up. So I noticed I was doing it in other people. We might not be able to hear each other saying hello with the mask, but we were all giving each other a bigger smile so you could see it in our eyes.
Yes.
These are beautiful moments that are coming out of a tough time.
It is. It is. Here, some people are wearing masks. Some places are requiring it. Other places are not. So it's kind of this back and forth. But we people are smiling bigger. And I am noticing that not everyone, I would love to see everyone, but it's almost like some people are saying hello, but they're scared to. Don't be scared. Yes. Do not be scared. We're all in this together. We are all people in this together. And your hello can be the greatest gift of my day. You don't know. You just don't know. You don't know what other people are going through. And your smile and your hello could be something that just changes the whole way my day is going.
100%. And it has for me. I hope I've done the same for others. But when someone does, see me standing there, when we're at the stoplight or crossing the street, we're standing 6 feet apart, so it looks like a little row of people. It's kind of funny. We're not all cuddled together. It's a little, and, I look around at both sides and give a little smile and a giggle. I know when someone smiles back at me, I'm like, woohoo, thank you. We're not interacting as much with each other, but we can have more quality in those interactions.
That's right. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about how we bring that into the dating a little bit first. And what do we, dating during Corona? That's an interesting thing right there. And how... Yeah, because it's more of, stay 6 feet away and wear your mask.
Yeah. But you can find out a lot about a person, too. In this time we've been inside, I've had people ask me, do you want to just go out? And I'm like, I'm not really sure you're a person that I can think is too bright if you're just walking around and, engaging with people. You can go on great walks. You can go on hikes. There's ways to get to know each other. Some guys love this because there's zero expense involved. True. If you're talking to somebody about, how can we do this? An open and kind of fun person, which is, I think, what most of us want, are going to say, like, well, okay, I have Zoom, I have FaceTime. There's a park near my house. They'll give you options.
I think in some cases, for me, who loves to go slow and really get to know the person, I love that we would take the time to go for a walk at a park or something, and just or to hike or to do something that is where we can just talk. I mean, I think that is really special. I don't see why that is a problem for most people. And I think people would like that if they see that as an option. I'm not sure people are, let's face it, we're not all thinking. We see the limitations, we don't see the opportunities. Do you know what I mean? We see the limitations. I'm wearing a mask. I have to say 6. Oh, sorry, I can't even talk to you.
And it becomes frustrating because it's like, well, I have to learn something new, and I have to learn something new after 30, 40, 50, like whatever age we get to, we all think we're done. In fact, we're learning all the way until we
never stop learning. True.
I've gotten a little bit of, I'm shy on camera, and I, jokingly say, well, get over it, because like that's going to have to be how it is now. We're going to have to get used to that and quit being hard on yourself, because sometimes people are shy and they're like, look at the jowl. No one's looking at the jowl. Like, you're the only one that's looking at it. Put the camera higher. Like there's workarounds for that. You mentioned something earlier about this time that we have. It's the perfect setup, if you will, for taking more time to get to know someone.
It is.
So that's
the perfect time for
male and females. Is about the heart connection.
It is.
I'm going to feel more connected to you when I hear the funny story about when we're in the park and the first time I met you and you set the dog poop. Like, those are funny little moments that you had ended up developing a relationship around this conversation of, remember when we did this? That was kind of cute. Yeah. Remember when we went for the walk and it rained? Whatever. But those are really sweet moments that if you take just a little more time, the connection, once you can sit closer, is deeper.
Exactly. Well, because you've been present. It's being present for that other person. It's opening your whole heart and mind to them. And it is phenomenal when you do that. I love doing that. When I was younger, actually much younger, I worked in a geriatrics ward in a hospital. I was a candy striper. I was 15. And it was there that I learned the power, believe it or not, 15 years old, I learned the power of what I could learn when I just opened myself up totally. I used to sit with some of the patients and just talk to them. And it wasn't about me at all. It was all about them. The stories I learned, the wisdom I learned at 15 from these wonderful older people.
That's great.
It was
experience.
It was fabulous. Well, I can tell you some funny things. I wasn't the best candy striper in the world, but I made a lot of mistakes. But what I learned was phenomenal. And that's where I learned how to open myself to truly listening. Yeah,
what a great lesson early on, too.
It is. I was very fortunate.
I've had the same fortune to spend time in nursing homes, senior living. Both my parents have been through that experience. And that not only the wisdom that they share, but so many seniors at that point are reflecting and taking time to look back.
Yes.
And when they see, me and my girlfriends that come to visit my dad, they're like, oh, you girls are so cute. And then if you talk to, especially there's very often more women than men, because we tend to live a little bit longer, they say the funniest things, like, oh, where are you two going? You're both wearing dresses. You got to go out and, chase some guys. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
You're still thinking about that? Oh, yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Well, why wouldn't they, for heaven's sake?
They're having time. So when I sit and say, like, what's the thing that you would, wish you would have, 90% of the time, there is a regret about not having said something.
Yes.
Why didn't I tell my brother-in-law that I really loved him and not my husband, ...
Yeah.
Why didn't I really go back to school after I had my kids? Because I really could have done a great job as a nurse, whatever it is, but it's just I didn't say something. And, ultimately we have a similar experience. My job as a coach is to listen and understand and then reflect back my clients' feelings and understand, how to take away the things that no longer serve them. Our work is, of course, to bring them to the best version of themselves.
Right.
When I'm listening to someone who is at the end, all I think is, I got to tell everybody we don't want to get to the end and wish that I told my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
You want to push yourself into this sort of uncomfortable space, whether it's your boss or your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's that moment that's really about us being a lot more comfortable, and that creates an opportunity for me to, encourage growth. But it's about what we're talking about, these conversations.
I think, and it's true. Since we're talking about this, I talked to a lot of people who were in hospice when my dad was dying, and just like geriatrics. Mm-hmm. And it's regret. It's regret. And a lot of times it's the harsh feelings you have for another person. And it's funny. I always noticed that it was the littlest, tiniest thing that really didn't matter in the end that kept them from building a relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
It's the littlest, tiniest thing, and it's the person feeling that they were right. Well, he's I just can't agree with him, and I can't talk to him. Well, there you go. You just lost a whole relationship right there.
Their family doesn't go to the same church that my family does, so no relationship there. Really?
No relationship there. I've lived next door to this guy all the time, but he practices something different. I don't even know what it is. I can't talk to him.
Yeah.
That kind of mentality that keeps us separated as people. And yet some of the greatest gifts you could do is by bridging that gap and learning something new.
Yeah. And growth for both parties. The idea that if you just let the door open a little bit, and you find out that your neighbor that you never talked to actually has the same set of tools that you do, and while you both have a hobby in common, like those are things that I don't want any of us to get to the end and think, oh, I really should have, oh, now I've met my neighbor, now that I am in a nursing home, he's actually a really fun guy. We could have been playing cards for 40 years.
I love to, and before those 40 years are over. So what are these little things that keep us from getting to know? I mean, right now we are having, and I'll bring it up, it's true. Right now we're having protests all over the U.S. and parts of Europe, too. It's everywhere. It's in the world. All saying, hey, you know what? We want to be treated equally. We want total acceptance, basically, on a different plane, right? We don't want, and we had a kickoff with Mr. Floyd, who unfortunately that was horrid, and it's just kicked off in a whole different way that we see now that people are not being treated right because of their color, not being treated right because of their beliefs, not being treated right because they don't fit our ideal. Okay. And some of this stuff is like hundreds and hundreds of years old. This is what my dad said, and this is what my dad said, and we don't even know what it's all about, but this is what he said.
Right. Somebody told me this, and I haven't had any new information, so insert.
This is what I'm going to believe. Right. If it was good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Right. You get that kind of feeling. But we're at an incredible opportunity to begin to reach our hand out and grab our neighbor's hand, whether that neighbor is a different religion, a different color, a different way of living, a different person. And we have the opportunity to listen to each other. We have an opportunity to learn from each other. And all we have to do is look at what it is that's telling us we shouldn't. And say 100%. That's not true. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And I think at the beginning you said, what keeps us from that? It's fear.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's normal, but it's see the fear and do it anyway.
Is fear really normal? We're going to come back and we're going to talk about that because I want to discuss that with you because I've learned a lot about fear in the last week that more than I ever thought I would ever know. You're listening to Magical Moments. Come back and learn how you can conquer that fear that's keeping you not only from the wonderful relationships. Oh my gosh, is it keeping you from relationships? But my gosh, it's keeping you from everything in your life. Let's get that ease and flow going. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're listening to Magical Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find ease and betterment with every episode. Download more on your favorite podcast platform. Now, here's Alena.
Welcome back to Magical Moments for that ease and flow. And we're talking about relationships. We're talking about fear. And I'm talking to Dena Burton, who is this wonderful life strategist who knows all about relationships. And we're just delving in. How does this fear affect us in the relationships we form and the relationships we could form if we conquered the fear? Dena, let's talk about this. How does that fear keep us from reaching out our hand to people that, our neighbor, our person across the street, the person we've seen forever and we haven't talked to, the person who might have a different faith, who might wear something we don't agree with, who might have a different color, heaven forbid.
Right.
How do we conquer that fear?
So fear is something we learn when we're little. And at some point you tried something and it didn't work out. And do you remember that? The sense memory. Somebody told you not to touch the stove and you went over there and touched it anyway and you burned your hand. But at some point you experienced something and it was painful, it was scary, and that's what you remember. Move on to your life now and something comes up that you don't know. Somewhere in your head you're like, I don't know, things that I don't know about doesn't always work. So I think fear is normal because we have it in there. What's less than desirable is letting it run your life. I'm not going to try anything. I'm not going to go anywhere outside of my neighborhood. I'm not going to speak to anyone that's not exactly like me or of my religion or the same color as me. When you close yourself off, that's when fear is running your life and you're not experiencing it as full as it could possibly be. And that's what I want to
good.
Is open.
That's a good description. You know, my mom actually is in, she took a fall. She hurt her pelvic. All my listeners know my mom. My mom is always my story. Well, she fractured her pelvic in 2 places. Very bad. She's 76 years old. While she's there, we find out she has a clot in her leg and in her lung. Oh. Then she had internal bleeding. She also had, she had to have a blood transfusion, all this. So it's been a saga for about a week and a half. Now she's in rehabilitation. Okay. Why am I telling you all this? Because she has been horrid. I mean, horrid. They will send me flowers when I take her home. That's how bad she's been. But this is the thing. And then she turns around and she's buttery sweet. But see, she gets into this state, and when the fear takes over, now this is an extreme, but folks, is it really? Is it really? When she is in fear, her perception changes. Your perception changes. It's like you took off the normal glasses and you put on these glasses that see everything in this fearful, you change the whole reality into a Stephen King novel. Okay? Yeah. And all of a sudden, you have to be careful of what road you're driving down. You have to be careful of who you're talking to. You have to be careful of this and that. Where's my purse at all times, even though everybody who's working with you in the hospital is trying to get you out of there. But, right. Oh my God, I've got to be careful of that. And you are treating me wrong. And all the people who are helping are now little awful people, gremlins, who are trying to hurt you. Now, that sounds delusional, right? But where do you think fear takes you? I can't talk to that neighbor because they believe something differently than I do. How silly is that? The difference is how we grow. But yet we're making them a little gremlin. We're making them somebody who can hurt us. We're putting on the weird glasses that show us that we're living in a Stephen King novel. I like Stephen King, by the way. You know, and everything is scary. Fear changes how we view the world. It's very serious. You're not playing a game. You got to conquer the fear. And how do you do that? You prove it wrong. You prove it wrong. You step forward and you say, hi, I haven't talked to you. You really have to just be strong and take one baby step. And step forward and say, hi, I know I see you all the time. You live right next to me, or I see you in the store. I just want to say hi. A baby step. Yeah. So when you look at that in just relationships, how else is fear affecting your life? Fear is serious. We all treat it like it's just, it's there. But fear is serious. It does alter everything. How do you like that, Dena?
Wow. Thanks so much. I'm just going to walk out now. Not true. Here's the other side of our friend, Mr. Stinky Fear, is that same fear is what racism is also based upon.
Yes.
I don't know you.
Yes.
So beyond our social relationships,
sure,
of my sphere, it's interesting that we're coming to this moment in the midst of a pandemic.
Isn't it? Isn't it? I find it very interesting. It's like everything's erupting. All the Band-Aids have been removed and all the pus is coming out. That's how I think of it.
It's all icky gooey everywhere.
It's all icky gooey everywhere. And we've got to just sort through it. We got to heal it. So, yeah. But
on the other side of that, and it started when we all watched George Floyd's video, which was really tough.
Oh, poor Mr. Floyd. Yeah.
Completely moved and frightened.
Very scary.
And the people around, I'm sure, were frightened. And then it kept growing and growing.
Yeah.
the other side of it is it felt like the country finally got together and just had a reckoning of enough is enough.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's up to us. I mean, okay, some of us are not doing the protests. Why didn't I? I would love to protest. I didn't protest because I got 3 kids. I don't want to get out there with a bunch of people, too close to people. And that's what kept me from doing it.
You're looking out to. You have a senior in your world too. So you have to
and also my mother. Oh God. Yes, we can't bring that in too. So I didn't do it, but I'm there rooting. I'm there saying, but I'm also stretching out my hand everywhere I can go and trying to heal as my relationships with anybody that I haven't done in the past. I find it that now is the time for me to build a new world in relationships. So every chance I get, I am building. I am building bridges. I'm building a boat to sail to the other side. I am building things to get closer to people, I
think we're learning as a culture, we are a rich diversity of people, just the world. Okay. It's a small world after all. It's actually all of these different people. And my friends are saying that they're starting to realize, which they didn't know before, which makes me a little sad, but within the Black community, it's also a rich diversity of people. But there's not one experience. And growing up where I grew up, we might have been the Black family. And so there might have been assumptions based on, you're that. And that's not fair because we're as complex as our white counterparts. But if you haven't had that experience, how would you know? And if you're going on misinformation, which you talked about a little bit, then you have no reason to change that idea.
Yes.
Now you have a reason to take a look. And I think the microaggressions, all of those things are popping up as everyone is starting to go, it's uncomfortable. This is not how I wanted it to be. And I'm working through it. Here's the other side. But
the gifts... Folks, I know it's uncomfortable. It may be uncomfortable, but the gifts, if I didn't, I don't know, I'm also a mentor. And so I have so many people from so many different walks of life, from so many different beliefs, from so many different colors. And they thank me for what I do, but I thank them for what they've brought into my life. And I have learned so much about the struggles of families. I've learned so much about the closeness of families. I've learned their story, which helps me in my story. I've learned their strength.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned their strength. And I've learned I love the closeness. Besides all odds, I've been so fortunate as to talk to some Black or African Americans who some of their families are so incredibly strong and beautiful, and the love that just flows. I find that we can learn from each other if we just open our mind and hearts. Yeah.
And when we do that, I have realized, we all still face the challenges. They're all the same in our lives, and it's a daily basis. Like it's, there's not, in this community. No, we all have the same challenges of
course,
parents that are getting older and kids that need guidance, all of those things. There's a through line, and we're much more similar, I think, than we've realized or allowed ourselves to realize.
To get woo-woo.
Noticing, here we go. Here we go. Woo.
Here goes the woo-woo.
Feels like the world is finally noticing, right?
Yes.
Everybody's on this, and that feels rewarding. That feels like, okay, so we're going to get somewhere on the other side of all this.
We are a body, but we are a spirit with a body. The body is to help us to function on this plane, but we are a spirit, and we come from one energy source, which you can call whatever you want. I love to call God my beloved. That's my term, but you can call God whatever you want, or you can call it a force, or you can call it the Big Bang. That's up to you. That's your belief system. but it is from one source of energy. And we are all of us, in fact, everything is from that. All creation. So if that is true, that doesn't mean we're all walking zombies. We all have our uniqueness. We all have our own personal goals and our desires, how we want to evolve our part. And I think what we have to do is when we realize that, then it doesn't matter what we believe. It doesn't matter what color we are. We understand that there is a beautiful spirit inside. And that's what really matters.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, well, thank you. But it's the truth. And it's so silly. If God is truly omnipresent, as we all learn, then why isn't he or she in every single living thing, in every single person?
Beautiful.
So when I reach out my hand to another person, I'm reaching out my hand to spirit. How's that? Yeah. That's really what it's about, folks.
Did you hear me take that? That's beautiful. Thank you. I'm a little off a clip. Oh, I was really touched by that. I was very.
Oh, hon. You are so beautiful. So when you are thinking, the fear needs to be conquered. How do you suggest that people break through the fear so that they can reach out their hand to spirit, to another person, and look in their eyes and see the spirit?
Okay. So more than anything, as I'm working with my clients, I am working to reinforce the message of understanding all of the pieces of their lives, and that's including the society that we live in, and how to unblock those boundaries that are going up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's important for professional, romance, personal. You got to get out of there. And the fun part for me, or the excitement, is being able to contribute this continuing education and empower them to move through that fear.
Yes.
The best way, I think, to start is in journaling. Start to determine, when did the fear get faced, or you had to rush into something and it turned out well. Like you didn't have time to acknowledge the fear, and there I was. All of a sudden, the original speaker wasn't there, and I didn't have anything prepared. But then I just stood up and said what I felt from my heart, and everybody
liked
that.
that.
What was the thing that? So you learned a fear, but you at some point have had an experience where not only was it not that bad, it was so much better because you pushed through it.
You did.
And we pushed through some. I push my clients, and I have the same thing. To push through an uncomfortable conversation, it's a hard thing to do, but this is the moment that I think we're starting to be a lot more comfortable and having those conversations.
I really love the journaling idea, because when you write down one of your fears, and say it has to do with relationships, and say it is opening up to another person who's different than you, and you are writing down, well, with anything, when you write down your fears or you make them concrete. I once did this exercise where you told your friend your fear when you go to move on to an achievement and something stops you, that fear, and then you have them tell you it back. And when you hear it come out of their mouth, it's the silliest thing you have ever heard. Really, it makes it concrete all of a sudden. Those fears in your head are so silly. And when you write it down in journaling, and when you write it down, ask it questions. Ask it to justify itself. Because I'll tell you what, you will see that fear is so freaking unfounded. That fear is not real.
And you've made it as this 9-foot, big, scary,
tall giant.
Right. It's all of these things that are really, really, I'll never get beyond that. And as you said, once someone says to you, you mean this little fuzzy thing that looks like a pot holder? Oh, yeah. I guess, okay, now I feel silly.
Now I feel silly. And that's really the truth. It is very interesting when you make the fear, but if you keep it in your head, it becomes this monster. And really, it's based on, when you look at it truly, either something someone said or something you heard.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Nothing logical, nothing profound. That's it. And you made it your whole belief system. Isn't that silly?
It became doctrine, yeah.
Yeah, you made it the Bible.
Yeah. If you move away from where your family lives, you're Christopher Columbus, and you're going to sail off the end of the world. It only ends here. Nope, I just got to Cleveland, and it was fine. Like
the fears that we have, and they stop us in every part of our life. But it really does stop us from forming the relationships that will do us well. And really, I've learned, guys, I hate to tell you, but fear can make us selfish. In that, oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad, Dena. I'm glad you see that too. And people don't see that when they're in fear. I was watching a movie last night. It's called The Healer, and it's on Netflix. So I just promoted a movie. I didn't mean to do that, but yes, I'm always doing What About Bob, so I guess it's okay to promote The Healer. So when I was watching The Healer, it was about this guy whose family, his whole generation, has been healers. And, he's deemed it a gift from God that they're healers. Well, he has the gift, and he decides he doesn't want it. And yet all these people are coming with all these sicknesses, and he's saying, I don't want this, I don't want this. And because he doesn't want to take responsibility. He doesn't want to, he's got this fear. But that fear is all about him. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. The fear puts on those weird freaking glasses again. And all it's about you. And meanwhile, he cut off all these people who needed help.
To me, it relates back to that. Wow, Dena, it relates back to our childhood. You're a genius. But it relates back to that thing as a kid. I'm going to take my toys. I don't want to play anymore. And you have more toys in your arms than you could play with at one time. You can't play because you're holding the toys, so you don't have it. Like, how does that?
Right. But I'm not going to share with any of you.
No. Yes. Nope. Nobody else gets it.
I'll lose my toys.
Right. And now you're not having any fun.
See, that's the world that, as adults, we still live in with fear. Yeah. When we have fear, you can't have this.
I'm not going to date someone because I got really hurt last time. So
fear.
Just going to have Netflix.
Yep.
Okay.
Because every person out there is just dying to hurt you. They're living for that. That's what they're...
Right outside the door.
See, it's just not real, folks. Fear is really not real. Sure, there's that occasional fear that says, don't touch the fire. Or is that just common sense that we've learned because we got burned once? And so now we have caution. We still use fire, but we don't put our finger in it. That makes sense. But that's not fear. It's just we don't have fear about it. We just know. We still use it. But when we go into life, my God, we create walls with this fear. And right now, I think we have the opportunity to break down the wall, to see how funny our fear actually is. Why would that person next door not have the same struggles as me? Why would that person who might be extremely lonely in their life? Mm-hmm. Maybe that person has just had a death. Maybe that person is trying to put someone through school. Maybe that person has hopes and dreams just like me. Isn't it time that we saw the spirit? I mean, really just started to break it down to what it truly is and looked at our fear and said, you know what, fear, come on. You're not real. I got to take off these glasses. And don't you, Dena, in all your coaching, haven't you found that sometimes we focus so much on the fear that it creates more? It's hard to conquer, but when we focus on the solution.
Yeah. It becomes the thing that starts, so I think I talked about this, it dominates everything.
Yes.
And it's like you're taking your security blanket. I'm really revealing a lot about myself here, but you're taking your security blanket and you're holding it. You're also you're tripping over the feet.
Yes.
You've got it wrapped around your legs, and now it's not serving you.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good example.
As we step out and start talking to people more, we're all going to go and say hi to somebody today from behind our mask. I'm going to tell you the story about my neighbor. I live in sort of a row of apartments, and we can see the row of apartments across from us. It's very common.
Yeah.
And one of my neighbors, because we're all seeing each other more, I kind of waved at her because I was on the street, and I looked up and I was like, oh, that's the lady I always see. I'm having a rear window moment, for those of you that are Hitchcock fans. And
I am.
She kind of looked at me like, hey, crazy lady that's, waving at me from the street. So she didn't recognize me. I did it enough times that when I was back on my balcony, which faces her, and at like day 3, she was like, oh, that's that lady.
Yeah.
And she waved back, everybody. She waved back. So,
and I bet when you start getting closer, she might even say hello, and she might ask you how you are.
She doesn't even know that when she waved back, I was like, I got her. We're my friends now. But I think, she didn't know who I was. So I'm just going to say, if you start saying hi to everyone at the grocery store, some people are going to look at you funny.
Sure they will.
But somebody is going to go, oh, thank you for saying something. That's all I wanted to say about that. Wave and say hi.
It is so funny because I say hi. I say hi everywhere. And I... Just because I see I'm very fortunate. I do see that soul. I see that beauty inside them. And so I always say hello. And it's funny. I'll see they just kind of look at me and they say it very shy, some of them. Some of them out there just, hello, how are you? And then others are like, look at me like I'm from the Mars, But that's all right. Because later on they'll think, oh, she was crazy, but that was kind of nice. It'll get to them eventually, and they will see, because people want to connect. But right now we're looking for ways. And wouldn't it be great if you could get over your fear out there of these different relationships? And fear, I'm sorry, hides as righteousness. So get rid of it. Go down, get rid of it. It's not just say, okay, I'm just going to take one step out and I'm going to start saying hi to people. And number 2, I'm just going to be really present if they want to talk. I'm going to be a great listener. I'm going to just open my heart and mind. That's it. That's all you have to do this week. And you'll find
that's good.
You'll find that you're already building bridges. Incredible, long-lasting, fruitful, experience-fulfilled bridges.
And in the process, I feel better, and they do too.
Oh, gosh,
I believe we call that a win-win, Alena.
It's a win-win. So tell me a little bit about your services and how people can get hold of you if they want to learn more about the dating scene.
So we have uncomfortable conversations sometimes, but those uncomfortable conversations get you out of your fear and back into feeling great about yourself, which is sometimes means I can have more dates now. I'm feeling great about myself, and sometimes means actually I'm feeling great about myself. I don't need anybody to date. So it's coming to a conversation.
That's kind of where I am.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And here's the woo-woo, and that's okay. But it is okay, because then in September you're going to be like, I want to have a fun fall, and it might involve having a drink with someone, and then we go from there.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly
Everybody
right.
can follow me across all social media channels. I'm the everywhere at Dena Burton Life.
That's very cool. And you have a website too?
Yes. My coaching is at nextactbestact.com.
Perfect.
You can see your next act's going to be your best act. You see what I did there? It's good, right?
I love it. That's very good. I love it. That's very good. I actually saw your website and I thought that was a really cool name. So it is just baby steps. Everything you do in your personal growth is baby steps. And building relationships is the same way as if we were going for that career big move. It's baby steps. And even, and just so you know, guys, those quantum leaps, it's baby steps, but they're baby steps that are strategic. Nothing is, I'm going to go full blown, I'm just going to jump all in. And that's fine for those who are daredevils. But most of us, those baby steps are just, they're getting our footing. And then as that feels good, we take another one. And boy, that person starts talking back. Oh, I'm going to go and have coffee with this person. I really don't know them very well, but I'm going to get to know them. We've been talking and yeah, and you just learn. And I can't tell you how much you experience when you open up and you see people grow, and I think if we close ourselves off, and you can call yourself an introvert and all this other stuff, but you know what? Relationships. We are beings that thrive on relationships. Maybe as an introvert, you don't want to have too many relationships if you like to be by yourself, but building that relationship strategically and opening the door to people that are not like you can be the biggest growth you'll ever have in your whole life. It can be
It could be magical moments.
It can be a magical moment. I find that all the time. All the time. And I wouldn't know what to do without those special days, because I really do receive more than I can even give. And isn't it time to just we all want that magic in our life? Well, guys, I hate to tell you, you got to step forward. You've got to be willing to say to the universe, I want those magical moments. So I'm going to start forming them with relationships this week. And the universe, God will say, okay, you're on a move. We'll help you out now. We'll bring some more into your life. That's how it works. Dena, I've loved having you on the show.
You are fantastic. So same time tomorrow, I'll be here. And we'll have another fantastic conversation. This is so great. Loving it.
I love it too. And I just think you bring a lot to women, helping them to really, conquer those fears and start living life again, getting out there,
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. And you made a funny point earlier about my business being for women. And as it goes, the universe tells you what you're supposed to do. And the last 2 clients I took on were men. That's right. You decide it's one thing, and the universe is like, these guys are here to talk to you. So
that happened to me too. Yeah. How funny. So see, everybody needs your help. Isn't that fabulous? Yeah. So everyone out there, guys, take the baby step. Start forming those relationships. And the people you do know, show them a fascinating side of you just listening and responding to them instead of it's all about you. And my gosh, you'll learn things you've never learned before, and your relationship will get closer. That is one of the best ease and flows there possibly is. Check out soulmanifesto.com. That is my group that I just love those people so much. And you really do need to check it out because we are doing so many incredible things. Now, I'm going to give you a little preview here. We have coming up, for those people who are getting back out there finding, oh my gosh, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off, and I'm running all over places, and the kids are starting to get back into things, and I feel like things are getting really busy. Okay, breathe. Let's just stop right there. And Soul Manifesto, I'm starting a 7-day reset to find your inner peace. And it's not just inner peace while you're with me, because of course you're going to have inner peace when you're with me. But when I'm giving you these incredible tools, I mean, they are really fabulous. These are what help me to keep my core center in the toughest times of my life. And I'm going to give them to you in the 7-day reset so that no matter where you are, no matter if all the kids in the car are fighting, you can still find your core. No matter if the business is going crazy, you can still find the peace in your core. Isn't that cool? That's the stuff we do at soulmanifesto.com.
Great.
Relationships, guys. Relationships are the key. The key to everything. So, have a fabulous week. Stay connected to that wonderful self. Stay connected to people around you. And stay connected to Source. Namaste. Have a fabulous week. Bye-bye now.
This has been Magical Moments with Alena, featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.